Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and you are watching TTV News, some latest events in TayNinhTV province. And now we come into details. Ladies and gentlemen, the preparation for the election of deputy to the 15th National Assembly and People Council at all levels for the 2021-2026 term have been completed, ensuring the progress. The locality have both prepared for election and organized epidemic prevention and control with the highest spirit of determination. That's the opinion of Mr. Vương Đình Huệ, member of the Politburo, chairman of the National Assembly, chairman of the National Election Council at the National Online Conference to review the election of deputy to the 15th National Assembly and People Council at all levels for the 2021-2026 term, taking place in the morning of May 18. At the TayNinhTV report, there were Mr. Nguyễn Thành Tâm, member of the Party Central Committee, Secretary of the Bronze Party Committee, Chairman of the People Council of TayNinhTV Province, Mr. Nguyễn Thanh Ngọc, Chairman of the Bronze People Committee.
Speaking at the opening of the conference, Mr. Vương Đình Huệ, chairman of the National Election Committee, has said that it is the second time since January the 21st of 2021, the National Election Committee has organized the online conference on the election of the deputies to the 15th National Assembly and the People Council at all levels for the term 2021 to 2026 term. Localities throughout the country have strictly followed the instruction and prepared the necessary conditions for the election. The National Election Committee organized many delegations with many inspection and supervision of election work and election preparation in localities throughout the country. The subcommittees and officers of the National Election Committee have also promptly issued many documents guiding and directing the removal of difficulties and obstacles, as well as plans and scenarios for organizing the election to adapt to the conditions of the election, as well as control the pandemics and natural disaster and floods, especially with the requirements of COVID-19 pandemic prevention and control. According to the statistics, the whole country has about 69 million voters, nearly 85,000 polling stations. Some localities and units held the early elections and rehearsed election in the face of great difficulties in the COVID-19 prevention and control, such as Hanoi City and Da Nang City. And according to the assessment of the National Election Committee, localities have been very actively and proactively in practicing the election process, especially in places such as area of isolation, places with isolated and patio lockage presidential areas. And up to this point, the preparation of the election is basically completed and ready for the election on May the 23rd.
Following the voter contact program on election campaign, in the morning of May 18, the candidates for the 15th National Assembly session of the number 1 constituency met with voters and officials of the town and ward An Hòa, An Tịnh, Trảng Bàng Town. At the conference, voters hear brief biographies of each candidate. At the same time, the candidates recently include Ms. Huỳnh Thị Phượng Loan, Chairwoman of Goya District Women Union, Mr. Nguyễn Trọng Nghĩa, Secretary of the Party Central Committee, Head of the Central Propaganda and Training Commission, Mr. Phạm Hồng Thái, Standing Deputy Secretary of the Bronze Party Committee, Head of the Internal Affairs Commission of the Bronze Party Committee, Head of the Legal Department of the People Council of TayNinhTV Province, Ms. Hoàng Thị Thuần Thúy, Secretary of the Bronze Youth Union, and Ms. Lê Thủy Phương Vi, Deputy Head of the Internal Political Protection Department, Organizing Commission of the Bronze Party Committee, presented the action plan if elected as a member of the 15th National Assembly. Voters of the world expressed their belief in the quality and capacity of the candidates for the National Assembly, especially the highly visible action program that meet the practical life of the people. At the same time, we want the candidates to always uphold the sense of responsibility, constantly strive, practice, show capacity, enthusiasm, always be loose to the people, and be responsible to the people. Voters also suggested that more attention should be paid to the lives of policy families, especially war invalid with difficulties. In addition, it's necessary to actively propagate information about history, tradition, anniversary, to educate the younger generation, quickly implement the Ho Chi Minh City Mộc Bài Expressway. Voters also suggested that the new National Assembly, besides regular voter contact, should have thematic voter contact. At the same time, carefully study when propagating legal documents, because at present, the law enforcement documents still have many overlaps.
There should be a mechanism to accelerate the implementation of the Ho Chi Minh Expressway project to the province and Trang Bang Thao. That is the suggestion of voters in Jalapurt, Yabin Words, Trang Bang Thao to the candidates for the 15th National Assembly sections. Number 1, constituency meet with voters and campaigning in the afternoon of May the 17th. Voters emphasized that the Ho Chi Minh Expressway through the province and Trang Bang Thao has been implemented for a long time, but for many reasons it has not been completed so far, including the compensation and site clearance. Voters suggested that candidates for the National Assembly, if elected, should have the mechanisms and policies to recommend functional sectors to continue to implement and soon complete the RTO road named after President Ho Chi Minh. Voters of Jalapurt also suggested that, if elected as a member of the 15th National Assembly deputies, to their activities they will have many enthusiastic and responsible ideas to make TayNinhTV in general and Trang Bang Thao in particular more developed. In addition, voters also suggested that strong measures should be taken to handle illegal trade, which leads to the risk of spreading the COVID-19 pandemic. As for the voters of Yabin World, it is suggested that at present the situation with counterfeit goods and counterfeits is still a lot and affect the production and consumption of the goods, and delegates need to pay attention and propose to completely handle these situations.
Continuing to implement measures to prevent and control the COVID-19 epidemic, Chairman of the Rongso People Committee Nguyễn Thanh Ngọc has just directed Rongso departments, agencies, and branches to strengthen disease prevention and control working area industry, factories, and control people returning from epidemic areas. Specifically, the chairman of the Rongso People Committee directed the Department of Health to conduct random sampling of all industrial parks in the area, factories, and enterprises with a large number of workers, and conduct COVID-19 screening from May 18, 2021. The chairman of the Rongso People Committee also directed the people committees of district, town, and city to assume the prime responsibility for and coordinate with relevant departments and branches in inspecting the observance of regulations on epidemic prevention and control at agency and units position, especially at production facility and industrial parks in the area. Require industrial park workers to make daily medical declaration, remote electronic medical declaration, not allowing people without medical declaration to work, strictly handle violation, including criminal handling, and publicize on local mass media. Industrial park manager and business leader are responsible for the implementation of epidemic prevention and control within the scope of their management.
Up to now, there have been no cases of COVID-19 infection in the industrial zones and cluster. However, in the face of complicated epidemic situation, following the instruction of the Provincial People's Committee, in the morning of May the 18th of 2021, the Management Board of the Economic Zones implemented plans to respond and handle the outbreak of the virus. And there are no cases of COVID-19 infection in industrial parks and export processing zones in the province. The conference took place in Trang Bang Industrial Park and Phước Đông Industrial Park. Attending, there were representatives of more than 50 enterprises under the Management Board of the Provincial Economic Zone. And Mr. Ha Văn Cung, head of the Management Board of Economic Zones of the Ninh Province, said, in order to perform well this important task, there should be synchronous coordination between the Economic Zone Management Board, Economic Zone Trade Union, Bengal District Labor Confederation, and the roles and responsibilities of enterprises. And through the plan, it will strengthen the state management of labor relations, grasp the situation and worker public opinions, and apply policies when businesses face difficulties due to someone infected with the COVID-19 pandemic. The plan outlines a number of situations in which a case of COVID-19 is detected to have an effective treatment plan, including plan for handling where there are cases of acute respiratory infection during working hours at the enterprise, and the plan when there is a positive COVID-19 case working at the enterprise, options when there is a case of positive diagnosis of COVID-19 but not present at the enterprise, and so the policies in the current epidemic situation. The Provincial Economic Zone Management Board also established a steering committee for epidemic prevention and control, in particular strengthening the information and reporting policies, establishing hotlines and silo groups to exchange, receive information, coordinate in timely handling when detecting cases of COVID-19 infection.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the afternoon of May 17, the border guard command of Tây Ninh province received more than 1 billion Vietnam dong from organizations and individuals inside and outside the province to build 11 anti-epidemic checkpoints on the Tây Ninh border. With the spirit of our people join hands and unit to fight the epidemic and strengthen to the border, Mr. Nguyễn Trung Hà, a benefactor in Hanoi capital, donated 700 million Vietnam dong. Tân Ngọc Local Ltd in Tây Ninh City support 300 million Vietnam dong, and Alumni Association of Russian School of International Relations support 110 million Vietnam dong to build anti-epidemic checkpoints on the border, receiving funding for support and thanking for the valuable information that organizations and individuals have given the Tây Ninh border guard. Colonel Lê Hồng Vương, commander, added that after receiving an additional 850 army, Tây Ninh Border Guard Command had just established 30 new sports, bringing the total to 159 sports. In addition, it continued to maintain 34 mobile patrol groups, along with 16 stations and 21 warning points with the very first Titan border security. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all for today TTV News. Thank you for joining with us and see you next time.